In this video, we're gonna have some fun. We, my friend, are ranking the top 10 most common, most talked about self-improvement habits on a tier list. Obviously, this is highly subjective. What changed my life might not change yours, vice versa. You might like things more than I do. They might be more effective. That's totally okay. The goal of this video is pure entertainment, but at the end of it, you might have one or two habits that you can try and rank for yourself. So let's go ahead and get started. Ooh, we got the B-cam today. Production. Let's start off with vision boards. Now, if you haven't heard of them, vision boards are graphic representations of your goals and what you want to have happen in your future. Personally, I still use vision boards. I think they're a very effective tool, especially if you've never done one before. So where do we rank vision boards? We're giving it C tier, solid. Here's why it's not higher. It's easy to get really excited about a vision board and make it and put it together, and then it sits in the closet collecting dust. You never look at it. And I'd also add here, sometimes with vision boards, it's a lot of material success because it's really hard to put a definitive image that represents emotions, relationships, the non-material things that really matter. But still a great tool and definitely worth a shot if you have not tried it before. Next up, we got Breathwork. Don't freak out, guys. That's the holding position. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Breathwork, it's a series of guided inhales and exhales. There are only about 30 breaths that look like this. You do that about 30 times. We have guided videos on this channel, and there's some other great ones on YouTube, Wim Hof being the most famous and well-known teacher of his method of breathwork. So where do we put breathwork? We're going B tier. Great, fantastic self-improvement habit that you can get into. Something I still use 2-3 times a week consistently since finding it 2 years ago through Wim Hof. I remember the first time I did it, I was like, holy cow, I can't believe we have the ability to feel this way in 2-3 minutes. The only reason it's not S tier is because the benefits can be short-lived. I know there's some long-term ones, but in general, you're looking at 3-10 minutes after you're zenned out. Hopefully you can maintain that throughout the day, but sometimes that's very hard and you go back to baseline. Still an awesome tool for you to use. And if you haven't done it, highly recommend you watch Wim Hof's guided breathing exercise video after this or one of ours on the channel. Get high on your own supply. Next up, let's talk about journaling. Keeping a journal is very different than keeping a diary, and I found that people have a lot of resistance to getting into it because they think the two are interchangeable. Journaling is a place where you actually go and apply things. You can think through things. You can slow down. You can observe your thoughts. So a lot of the same benefits you have, that introspection through journaling, coaching, therapy, you can sort of coach yourself in your journal. And that's why, in my opinion, it's so effective. Again, we have videos on this channel covering it extensively if you're new to it, but where are we putting the journal, guys? It's going in the A tier. Definitely wouldn't recommend skipping out on that one. However, it's not S tier because I understand it can be a hard habit to develop, maintain, keep up on. But man, if you can, there's huge benefits as someone who has done it again for a decade plus. Next up, we got exercise, the gym, working out. The other day, I posted in our YouTube community asking you what the #1 self-improvement habit you did was. What was your S tier? A lot of you said the gym, working out, exercise. I thoroughly agree with that one. We're giving it the S tier. It's life-changing. And through that, yes, you get results and you look aesthetically better, but also too, the meta lesson there, you learn how to improve yourself through sweat, through getting up when you don't want to, through consistency, through pushing yourself, through when you want to quit. All those lessons translate to other areas in life as well. And we don't always just mean aesthetics, bodybuilding. Oh, you can go on a walk and still get a ton of benefits from exercise. So definitely life-changing for sure. Next up, we're talking meditation, baby. It's been said that meditation for your mind is what running is for your heart health. Often you hear meditation and you think Buddhism. Fun fact, they didn't actually have a word for meditation when the Buddha was around. The closest word they had was called Bhagavana, I believe is how you pronounce it. Loosely translated means consciousness training. I love that frame because oftentimes we think meditation is just sitting, being bored, doing nothing, okay? Is my alarm going off yet? When can I get up? But boiled down, it's training your consciousness, training your mind, building your patience, building your compassion, building your emotional peace. So where do we put our thousands of years old practice of consciousness training? gotta put it on the A tier. The only reason it's not S tier is, unfortunately, it is a tough one to develop consistently long enough to where you can see the lasting real benefits from it. In our community poll, a lot of you said that was your number one. So no doubt, very effective and yeah, worth do not skip. All right, y'all, next up, what do you want to do? Let's go with books. Talk a lot about this on the channel. In fact, our last tier video was ranking self-improvement books who had over, was it 15,000 reviews on Amazon? And we're just like the best sellers of all time. So I'll link that down below if you want to check it out. It's been said the quality of your life, it's the quality of your communication, and really your ideas. And so yes, you have self-communication, but you also have people communicating to you. And through the medium of books and reading, they can do that. We're putting it on the great tier. You know, there's over 15,000 self-improvement books published every single year. So that's why it's a few tiers down, is because the selection of the books, the quality of what you're reading, the quality of ideas, the quality of the author dictates how effective these are. If you need any recommendations, we have a few videos on this channel as well. Reading books, very solid. Definitely work that into your routines. Next up, let's rank productivity hacking. So to-do lists, productivity hacks, Pomodoro techniques, you know, just like the whole sphere of productivity, Notion even. Now, I'm aware it's not exactly fair to lump every single hack of productivity into one category, but hey, for the sake of time, we're doing it. If you are chronically disorganized, productivity advice will help you immensely. But here's a hot take. I'm putting it under meh. This is why. If you have a friend who's banging his head against the wall, like, pow, 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 and he's complaining about a headache, what do you tell them? You don't say, oh, dude, take some Tylenol because that gets you an extra 15 minutes of head banging. No, you say, hey, stop banging your head against the wall. And where I'm going with that funny analogy is I found that people in the productivity camp who are complaining about burnout, the reason they're burnt out is because they're trying to do too much. And so the next productivity hack, the next tool, the next habit is going to exacerbate the problem and make it worse, not better. And so what they actually need is less, not more. Productivity advice, at least the way I've seen it been taught, is about like doing more and cramming things in and maximizing every single second and every hour of every single day and planning your day in 15-minute increments. And like, yeah, it's effective, it'll work, but you're gonna reach a point of where you burn out fully and then you can't work for 2-3 months, 2-3 years, and your productivity drops to net zero. Lower than if you had just focused on like chilling a bit more, stop banging your head against the wall, right? This is why, if you notice on our channel, whenever I do a productivity video, it's not really productivity hacks and tips. I mean, we do give some that are effective, but they're always related to focusing, right? Because focusing is about doing less but better. And productivity, in my opinion, is just about doing more for the sake of more. Rant over, that's why it's on the meh tier. Again, I'm not hating on anyone specifically, and if those productivity hacks work for you, congratulations. However, if you feel like you're listening to productivity advice and it's making you feel more stressed, more burnt out, and there's a bit more resistance to actually doing your work, that's a very good sign you need to stop banging your head against the wall. Let's talk about affirmations next. Now, affirmations are phrases that you say to yourself that increase your positive self-talk. And the goal with them is to combat negative self-talk, negative criticism, usually phrased, I am blank. Maybe not the right term, but it's a sort of brainwashing yourself. Through pure repetition, you start to say something enough that you believe it. Now, look, I've gone through times in my life where I've used affirmations and they've helped immensely. I was in a negative space. They helped really turn things around, and they prime your mind to think thoughts similar to the ones you're saying to yourself throughout the day. So affirmations, although I would rank them personally higher, if I was recommending this to you, I would put them either good or meh tier. It's kind of like the in-between here, just because it can be so hard to stick with the habit. And for a lot of people, there's just so much resistance to them that if you're not like on it with yourself, okay, it's 7 o'clock in the morning for 21 days, I'm telling myself these 50 affirmations, 5 affirmations, whatever it is, multiple times for like 21 days, then you won't see any benefits. But hey, if you can stay on top of it as someone who has, I noticed immense benefits from affirmations. So D tier, but could potentially be C, B, or as high as you go if they work for you. Next up, let's talk about your identity. This is something called identity shifting. The reason you want to do any of these habits in the first place, boiled down, is because you want to change your identity. Their identity, we've talked about this extensively on this channel, that's the deepest layer of who you are. Beyond your beliefs, your actions, your habits, your routines, your social interactions, it's your self-image piece. One of the strongest drives we all have is the need to remain consistent with the identity we set. If you say you're someone who is 5% body fat, you post that everywhere online and people know you around as the 5%er, like watch yourself maintain that for years because that's your identity. Other examples, millionaires who say they're millionaires and they lose it all and they gain it back. And when someone really changes and it lasts, like someone in the health example who loses 100 pounds, well, when they look back at old photos of themselves, what do they say? They say, holy cow, that's no longer me. I'm a different person. I don't even recognize that person in the photo. That's because they had a full identity shift. They feel like a new person. And so boiled down, the reason you want self-improvement is because you want to reinvent yourself. You want to change. So identity shifting is like a concise way you can bring about that's geared towards creating the 2.0 you, as we call it, and shifting from the 1.0 you into that. So I'm putting this at the A tier for sure. Only reason it's not higher is because the how-to of that can be a lot for people to tackle on their own, which, by the way, shameless plug, that's why we created our metamorphic coaching program. This is exactly what we do in 10 weeks. We guide you through the step-by-step process, 1.0 you, creating that 2.0 you, and shifting into it. So you're the person at the end of the 10 weeks looking back being like, holy cow, I'm no longer that person. And no pressure, but if you want to learn more and that sounds interesting to you, I'll link down below where you can speak to one of our coaches and see if we can genuinely help you. Last up, let's talk about sleep. Sleep hacks. You spend a third of your life doing it, you might as well do it well. Perfecting your sleep is one of the best self-improvement things you can do. Write down everything you want. More energy, more patience, better mood, better relationships, better communication, more confidence. Sleep will help with that, won't it? Yes. And if you're someone who sleeps like 4 hours a night and you can fix it and sleep 8, dude, talk about life-changing. You're gonna run through walls. You're gonna have so much energy. Doing everything you possibly can to take advantage and perfect your sleep or get it as optimal as possible. I can't recommend that enough. As someone who did that and has maintained it for years, it has helped me immensely. There's no way around this. I'm putting this on the S tier. If you want, in the comments below, rank order this tier list yourself. I'm very curious what you would put at S, what you would put at A, B, C, D, and if there's any E's at all. Thank you so much for watching. I genuinely mean that from the bottom of my heart. Without you, I can't make these videos and do this. So I feel very honored to have at least a small part in your life and your journey. Great place to go right now. If you're still watching, you want more. This video right here, this is our self-improvement book tier list. So if you like this theme, you like the vibe, I will see you in that video.